Hey everybody, I'm Justin Bohn.
I'm Mike Val.
And this is the Bohn and Zano Zone, where we are always on the lanes, off the charts, and on the mic.
Destiny was on his side.
Strike to claim it. A strike to claim it.
And he got it! Who do you think you are?
Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bohn and Zano Zone podcast. I'm Justin Bohn.
Mike Val.
And we have a special guest, but before we get to you, our guest, we want to thank Bull for Life and Chuck Gardner and Bullish.com. Thank you guys for helping us out during these tough times. We want to introduce our guest, Mike.
We have a special one today. We have a multi-time tour titleist.
Big-time player in the Weber Cup and big-time team player in the PBA League. We want to introduce Stuart Williams. Stewie, how you doing today?
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure, Stu. So I'm going to fire away with the first one. Tom Brady to Florida. How do you feel, bud?
I think he's done enough for the Patriots and he can do whatever he wants.
Yes.
Am I sad he's not playing for the Patriots still? Yes. But, you know, life will go on.
All right, so let's get to the bowling part, Justin.
All right. That's more my cup of tea.
So you have a new show. You do the Beef and Barnesy show with Mr. Barnes, and I guess stirred up a lot of talk in the bowling world with this mock draft for the PBA League you guys did last week. So let's talk a little bit about that and the mock draft and all that good stuff.
Before we get into the mock draft, I think we should talk about one thing first.
Go ahead.
Mainly how you guys got that show started. You guys have been pretty big-time rivals in the Weber Cup, but really, how did Beef and Barnesy come together?
Well, me and Chris have been talking about doing something for a while. We do a lot of times in the extra frame flow bowling booth, and we have a pretty good fun with it, and we get pretty good feedback. So we felt like there was room for to do something, but we could never really figure out what it was because we're both not as dedicated as like someone like say Kyle and Brad. They're like unbelievable at the work they put in, and I think both of us are like no, I wouldn't say perfectionists, but we both pride ourselves on the products we're putting out there, and you know, it's not really something you want to sign up for and like try and promote it if you haven't got the time to commit to it. So
now you got the time.
Fast forward, we have the time, and we did a couple of live shows, and they were a bit of a cluster, to be fair, with FaceTime and stuff. And then we tried it on Twitter, and we didn't really get the viewership, so it wasn't really worth it. And then we spent a little bit of time, and we found this software that we could use that allowed us to have like both of us on live at the same time. And yeah, from there we just kind of snowballed, and it's been a pretty good ride so far.
It's really cool. I listen to it. I watch it whenever you have a new episode, and the guests are really cool and a lot of fun stuff. And so best of luck to you guys in your show.
So
thanks a lot.
We wanted to start off with talking about your mock draft. We've noticed that, well, this is something that bowling's really never seen with a mock draft. It's something that they do in other sports all across the board. But we've pulled up the first one that you guys did. You guys have done two of them. And
yeah,
who did you have with you as captains on that show, or how did you come across the idea of doing a mock draft?
The way we did it the first time was we had Bill O'Neill penciled in as a guest for that show.
Okay.
And I was talking to Chris about it, and I said, well, you know what? I listen to the NFL Network on the radio, on Sirius, and they always have a mock draft on the Friday. So I said, so Bill always does he always sits with Randy Peterson and does like the, you know, descriptions of the picks for the draft. I said, why don't we have Bill do the mock draft with us? And Chris was like, all right, that sounds cool. So what we did was we decided that we would divide the three teams that we bowl on away from ourselves.
Okay.
Just because it wasn't really worthwhile having the conflict or, you know, whatever.
Right.
And then me and Chris took the two new teams, and then we gave Bill the extra team because there was three of us picking three teams.
Right.
So after we picked the new teams, we let Bill pick the fourth team, and then we had Tom. When Tom Clark heard we were doing it, he thought it was a cool idea. So Tom really helped us out. He got some more legitimacy to it, some more credibility, shall we say?
Right.
And Tom came on to do the official coin toss for which team was going to get to pick first. So we did that, and the PBA shared it to their page, and then suddenly, we had like 500 or 600 people like watching this live of us just winging it by the seat of our pants.
Right.
So we, so we got really good feedback from it, and like I say, we decided, well, okay, we'll do another one on the following Friday, but this time we'll try and get like some different people, like some journalists, to do it. And Chad Murphy loved the idea. He'd watched the first one, and I don't know whether people quite know how much of a fan Chad is of professional bowling. He watches a lot of it. He knows a lot about it.
Yeah.
So we asked Chad to do it. We got Mike Flanagan. We got Jeff Goodyear. And then me and Chris decided we were going to have to take a little bit of a step back from it. So we ended up, we had some people lined up, and then at the last minute, we had some changes. So John Burkett, the former Major League pitcher, who's a pretty good bowler on the PBA 50 tour in his own right.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He came in to draft. So that made it up, and this time me and Chris just drafted the one team each.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, so as we're looking, we're going to talk about the two new teams. What do you think of the addition to the two teams? Do you think that's going to be good for the league?
To be honest, I have no idea.
Okay.
I think that it's cool that more guys get an opportunity to play in the league. I'm not really until I've seen it in action. I'm not going to be a guy who's going to sit here and criticize the decision, because I mean, there's been plenty of decisions that I might not have thought were the right things, and they've worked out fantastically. So
right.
I think it doesn't help anybody one way or the other to make to be negative about it. Like, we only want the PBA league and the PBA in general to thrive.
Right.
And it having players being critical of those things isn't helpful in any way. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Certainly, we've got Marshall Holman coming into it, so that could be interesting as well. As long as Marshall brings the fire that he brought to the lanes when he was playing to it, I think that's going to be a cool addition along with Amlau.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Especially with him he was a coach for the USA versus the World show, I believe, once or twice at the World Series.
Yeah, and when he did that, Tom told me that I was doing it with him the one year.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom told me, Tom Clark said, "Oh, you're really going to get into Marshall, pull that out of him, get the competitive juices flowing." And I said, "Okay, cool, yeah." So I said to Marshall, and you got to understand that, like, I've got 2 titles. Marshall Holmes is a Hall of Famer with 19 or 20 titles.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So it isn't really like, Marshall can club me like a baby steel. It's not that difficult. And I said to Marshall, was it difficult for you to know, which players you were going to have, being as, when you were on tour, they used wood balls? And then there was, crickets, and Marshall didn't say anything back, and I'm like, oh. So then it looked like there was, a completely unprovoked attack by me on Marshall, even though Tom was telling us that's what he wanted us to do. And Marshall didn't want to play ball, so, yeah, that was, Marshall just left me hanging.
So when I saw that they added these 2 teams, I actually thought, or not thought what was going to happen, but I had a pretty neat idea, and I want to hear your thoughts and Mike's thoughts as well, is what if they added, a women's team, a 5-person women's team, or a 5-person youth team? Obviously, the youth wouldn't get any money because they'd lose their eligibility, but, some of the top 5 amateurs in the U.S. or the top 5 women in the U.S. are added to the PBA league. Do you think that could bring something? It was
no.
Okay. It was a.
I mean, when the NFL expanded,
Right.
they didn't have a ladies team.
Right. So it's the same
So-
thing you're thinking.
Like, in my mind, it's professional sport. So, like, I mean, the women have the ladies have their own tour.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and there is an avenue for any lady players to be able to qualify for the PBA league. They just have to play on the men's tour.
Right.
So, I don't necessarily think that's the avenue that, like, the PBA's going to go down or should go down.
Okay.
Like, but that's just my...
It was a
from-
neat
from my
concept
side,
that I thought in my mind could be like an exhibition match kind of thing, but
And,
Yeah,
and
but this is supposed to be like... This isn't really how that is.
right,
So,
it's a
you
lot.
know,
It's
what-
supposed to be more like an actual league,
yeah.
like a more professional
and
sports
like-
league.
Yeah, and like, for example, I think from what you're talking about, I think what could be cool is if the PWBA likes the concept and they had their own league, then we could have an exhibition/challenge match between the winner of the PWBA and the PBA.
I like that
Like
idea.
like a battle of the sexes, exactly.
Yes, I like that idea.
Yes, like I could see that having a lot of traction where you could really market it, like trying to find sponsors for it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could see that being something rather than necessarily having the ladies being in the men's league or in the PBA league rather than the men's league.
Okay.
Makes total sense. So, Stu, I know you're at home doing your show. So, what else are you doing to keep busy? I mean, are you able to practice at all? Like, what's your daily schedule like these days?
No, just attempting to homeschool my 3-year-old, playing in the backyard, doing the show.
This has
Just-
definitely
we've done
been.
some projects.
Oh, go ahead.
So yeah, we've done some projects at home. Like we've turned one of our rooms into a bedroom, painted it, built a bed, stuff like that.
Becoming very handy around the house, it seems.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
So this is probably, or I know this is the longest stretch that my dad's been home in probably his entire 30 career on tour. This has got to be one of the longest stretches you've been home in the few years that you've been on the PBA tour, and possibly even further when you're going over in Europe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is the longest I've gone without touching the ball since I first started.
Do you think that when you're back up and running, like, how long does it take you to get back to your old self, to work the kinks out? Like, you have timing issues, release issues. Like, how long do you think it's going to take?
I'm hoping that I'm going to have forgotten some of the things I was doing because I wasn't doing very well just before we finished. So if anybody's interested, if they check out the Beef and Barnsley episode with Mark Baker, he breaks down why I suck at the minute in the episode. So that was kind of fun. So yeah, I think it's going to take me a little while because I don't usually go more than like 4 or 5 days without practicing. So it's going to be interesting. I think I might need to drill some more thumb holes.
You're probably not the only one there.
Yeah. Now,
the thumbs are a little loose right now.
do you bowl league, Stu, or you just when you're home, or no?
Yeah, I tend to. When I'm home, I bowl league. I think it's good. I think it keeps us in touch with the local bowling community. I really like doing it. It's amazing in league from a purely selfish point of view, outside of the friendship that you can create in cities and stuff. When we lived in Phoenix, for example, like I found a handyman, like a gas guy, a painter, my realtor, an insurance guy. Like, bowling's such a blue collar sport that, there's pretty much one of everything in the bowling center on league night.
Right.
Absolutely.
And if you start to put yourself into the local bowling community, I think it's good, and I think it's like cool, and I think that in general you get fairly good feedback on from the other players in the league about you bowling. As long as you're not a complete asshole, then I think everything's going to be all right. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you got to understand that it's not a PBA major when you go out to bowl league. It's you're trying to have fun with the guys.
You're not paying your bills playing bowling league. You're just there to have a good time and have a night out.
Yeah, exactly. And you just want to, have some fun with the guys. I mean, I remember one time just before the U.S. Open when it was in Wichita. I was talking smack with Packy Hanrahan about Bohn League. And Packy made space on his team for me to sub that night.
Oh, my.
And it turned into quite the spectacle. We had Kyle Troop bowling, we had Pavlenko bowling, we had Ostrander bowling, we had Mike Wolf bowling.
Oh, my.
It was amazing. Like, there was more people watching League that night than Bowling League. And it was a 5-man team league.
So how many people hugged the lane man that night? That's my when you could get on honor score. We hugged the lane man. So anybody?
Yeah. I mean, it was a fun time. The first game I shot like 190, and then I realized that I couldn't throw it too slow. And then and Brent Bowers, who's the general manager
at North Rock,
over at North Rock,
yeah,
he announced my 190. So then the next game I'll bowl 290 and scream from the foul line, "Are you going to announce that one?" And I might have swore at him a couple of times, and of course all the league bowls were cheering and thought it was great.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know,
that's
we
fantastic.
had a good time with them. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, in watching your show, Stu, we know when you wrap it up with your guests, you do 10 random questions. First thing that comes to mind, right?
Yes, sir.
So what we're going to do now, I have 10 random questions. First thing that comes to mind with Stuart Williams. Are you ready?
Okay.
And I'm taking some of these questions from your show, so you may hear someone that you answer, that you ask your guys. So, first one.
Okay.
Who's the most famous person in your phone?
The most famous person in my phone. Probably Belmo. I don't really know many of the celebrities.
Okay, Belmo's a good one.
He's pretty famous.
We actually had a podcast about him saying how he's probably the best athlete of the decade.
Yeah, we talked about in one of our previous episodes. I know we're going a little off topic here, but how he could have had one of the best decade of any athlete across the board of any sport.
Of any sport, exactly.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, number
Definitely.
2.
Don't know.
All right, number 2, Stu. Have you ever been in handcuffs before?
You know what? If I have, I was very drunk, but I don't think I have.
All right, number 3. You're out to eat with a bunch of bowlers. Who's the one guy that tries to sneak out and beats paying his part of the bill?
See, the easy answer here would be Barnes, but Barnes never doesn't pay his share. He just won't pay any more than his share. Who would try and cheap out on the bill? I don't know really, because most of the people I hang out with I like, and if someone did that, we probably wouldn't like them, so we wouldn't go to dinner with them. So I don't know.
We'll just stick with Barnes. That's a good answer. All right, you're a big team player, Stewie. So you're building a 5-man team for the USBCs. Yourself, and who are your other 4?
And are we just trying to win the? The 5-man, or are we doing it just?
You're trying to win as many Eagles as you can in that 1 year.
And where are we bowling?
Jesus, Stu. Well, let's say we're bowling in Reno because we're supposed to be in Reno this year.
Okay, so Jasper's going to be on the team.
Of course.
Okay.
Dom.
Okay.
Frankie.
Okay.
So that's me at 4, isn't it?
That's 4.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'd take Matt McNeil because, he could just burn up the outside for Jasper.
That's a good pick.
That's a pretty good team right there. 2 lefties, and
especially with all the success McNeil's had at the Open.
Mr. Nationals, Matt McNeil.
Yes. All
right, number 5, Stu. When was the last time you partied all night like Rob Gronkowski?
Dom's 21st birthday in Barcelona.
And I'm not going to ask any questions. We're just going to leave that one there.
So that would have been, just for reference for how long that would have been, that would have been, I believe that would have been the 30th of July 2006.
That's going back a ways.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think that would be it.
All right. All right, Stu, what movie that is always on TV, if there's a movie on TV, which is the one that you would always have to watch regardless of where it is?
Any James Bond movie.
Oh, 007. I like that.
All right.
All right, number 7. Since you are from England, what is the best fry-out you've ever seen that reminds you of a Gordon Ramsay flip-out?
Oof.
And we want some meat here. We want some good stuff here.
I mean, like, you know, we've all done it. If you want to talk about frying out, I mean, I've seen that Dom's had some pretty good conversations with the ball reps that would go in the direction of a Ramsey fry out. Tom Hess is always pretty entertaining.
Hess don't get into it.
I've heard some stories. I won't get into them, but I've heard some.
I mean, Frankie, for a little guy, he isn't afraid of getting
I would
fried.
never picture that.
I would not have thought that.
I would not have thought that one either. That's that Napoleon syndrome, probably.
I think Oscu, like about 20 years ago, we were bowling at the. No, it wasn't that long. It was about 15 years ago. We were bowling the mini eliminator in the Orleans, and he. I can't quite remember how he lost, but it was some like weird, like, you know, like he 4 count, and then he spared everything except he put the 3 in front of the 4 or something like that.
Oh boy.
He took a 2-ball tote and he slammed it on the ground for so long that he broke both balls.
Oh my.
That's a good one. All right. Number 8, Stu. Your favorite and least favorite center to bowl at on tour.
Okay, yeah, my favorite, I think, at the minute is Wayne West.
Okay.
Because Wayne and Elaine always look after us, like, amazingly well, for 1. And then for 2, I always do well there. Storm balls that week is always like cheating. Like, it's always crazy how many Storm guys make the top 24. So, Wayne Webb's is definitely my favorite. And I think that my least favorite to bowl at, even though that the people are really nice and helpful, is Indy. Like, I could literally bowl league there, and I'd probably be like the 20th highest average in the league.
Woodland Bowl?
Like, oh yeah.
I bowled in college there.
Like,
that place is hard.
I can't strike there to save my life, and it seems like everybody else can. And then this year, I wasn't even upset when the lefties all ran over it, because I just didn't care, because I wasn't doing anything.
You know, Mike was just talking to me. Oh, go ahead.
There's a tip for all right-handers around. If there is one place that you don't like and you're not doing very well, pray to God that the lefties crush it, because you weren't going to make any money anyway. So if the lefties do really well, that's just one of the weeks ticked off that we don't have to worry about them going forward.
So Mike was actually just talking to me about, like, last week about how the carry at Woodland is terrible. And that's really funny how you brought that one up.
It's miserable. I bowled in college there. It's like bowling against an oak tree. You can't carry if you're right-handed there. It's miserable.
The ball just burns up so fast in the front. That's why the carry's bad. If you bowl on like the house shot, it's not really that bad because there's so much more oil in the middle of the lane and it's so dry to the outside.
Right.
That like we bowled one year the pro-am and like we had like 5 of us bowl 900 in the night. It was like 9 pin no tap, but still, like we had 5 guys bowl 900 in one squad.
Yeah, that play. It's a beautiful center, but it's not a very righty-friendly building to say the least. All right, number 9. Did Tom Brady really deflate those footballs?
No, but who cares? Even if he did.
Oh, come on. All right. This is the last one, and based on number 9, I'm going to go to number 10. 2002, Patriots Raiders in the snow in New England. The tuck game. Was that really an incomplete pass? Be honest, though. You're a Pats fan.
Who cares?
Oh, come on. I'm a struggling Jets fan. You got to give me a little bit here. You don't think that was really a bad call?
Of course it was a bad call, but it's like, has there never been a bad call that's gone for the Patriots, ever? Like, gone against them?
That's a good point. And I'm going to give you one more. So we're talking about football really quick. Bill Belichick, the greatest head coach in the history of the NFL, has all the tricks up his sleeve, right? Who's the Bill Belichick of bowling, in your opinion?
Ooh.
Bowler and or coach. I'll expand the parameters.
Well, do you want me to tell you who I think is the best bowler of all time by that question, or who's like the Houdini artist who can do anything?
Houdini.
Yeah, we'll start with Houdini.
I think Barnes is the Houdini because I think that Barnes has got more TV shows playing in more different parts of the lane than anybody else.
Yeah, Barnes is a magician with his hand too. He's been for a long time.
Yeah.
And
who do I think is the best bowler of all time?
Sure. What's your opinion?
I think that it's either Walter Ray or Belmo.
Okay. And do you think that it's, I don't want to say a fair comparison because of the generation and the styles, but I mean, Walter's reinvented himself in the past couple of years trying to bowl two-handed and whatnot. Yeah. But Walter was great, and Belmo is just he walks on water. I mean, he's unbelievable. And
when you look at the numbers and compare them to each other, it's actually pretty insane. But I mean, the reason Belmo doesn't have as many titles as Walter Ray does by now is just because there's not as many events.
Well, you can say that, but that's pretty disrespectful to Walter Ray though, because like.
And I'm not taking disrespect to him.
No. But
go ahead.
But what I'm saying is your dad will tell you. Like, how many times has dad got? 37?
35.
35. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, no matter whether you had all those tournaments to bowl or not, like, Belmo would have to win twice as many times as he's won already to be ahead of Walter Ray.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I mean, even with extra tournaments, that's a chunk. You know what I mean?
He's still a long ways away from getting there.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he'll ever get to that many because I think he'll just, like, because if you look at it, realistically, Belmo doesn't win that many non-majors in the last five or six years.
Right.
So, he's bowling just as many majors as well. In fact, he's actually bowling one more major a year than Walter was bowling for most of his career.
Right.
Yeah. So, and it's funny, we did this thing on our last show talking about Belmo and the majors and whatnot, and I was saying that in the longer formats, it's almost impossible to beat him. Like, you just can't touch the guy in the longer formats. And if the PBA had events that, like the old school 42 games, 56 game formats, Belmo would be running him over. Like, what makes him so dominant in those longer formats? Like, you're out there. Like, what is it that just makes him go when it's 56 games?
I think it's just that he has unlimited confidence in his ability to make shots, and he can do pretty much anything he wants. Especially with now having the ability to being able to throw the urethane balls. So any time where he was actually going to give up a little bit of, a few pins here or there, now he's almost gaining pins by using the urethane. And
okay.
And like I think that those long formats in history, I mean, they're always going to favor the better players. I mean, because by being a better bowler, you just like got an advantage.
Yeah.
Look how many tournaments that Parker won in the round robin format when it's long.
Right.
He was bowling fantastic, and he obviously he was able to drive home his advantage, and the more the games went, the further he got ahead.
And you can look at that even in the World Championship from 2012 when he went from 24th to 5th. In that round robin. That's just a prime example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, poor old Craig Lamond left the 7-9 to miss the cut, and then your dad went, "All right, I'll bowl 800 every single time."
The left was really good that week. I watched.
It wasn't really good until the round robin, and then it was crazy.
Yeah, because he didn't make a shot, or he didn't make a cut in any one of the animal patterns.
No.
And only made the World Championship. And then he obviously blew him out of the water.
I can't talk about your father anymore. I can't, because I watched the guy bowl league with me. He's 215 bowling league. Still, he's 215 in league with me, Parker. And that's a problem.
on his good weeks.
Justin, am I lying?
That's because of his interest level.
Justin, am I lying? Is he not like 215 at his best in league?
I'm gonna say on his good days.
Yeah, it's a sight to be seen.
All right. How about you go to a place where the gutter plays?
I got a funny one for you.
Just lay it down on 3. I'm pretty sure he's not going to average 215 then.
I think Mike probably knows this story. He was probably there. Mom needed a sub, and Dad comes home from the Ballmaster or the Euro Challenge. It was one of the two.
Right.
Over there, and all of his balls had like 360 or 500 on it, and
right,
because they were balling like 50 feet or whatever it was, and he came back.
The Ballmaster.
Yeah, and he came home the first 2 games. He bowled like 160, 170, and he took out his plastic ball the third game, bowled like 250.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely wasn't like the league experience you had with your guys, but no, I would not bowl Parker playing 3. Nobody in their right mind would. So.
Nope.
But Stewie, let's wrap it up here. Thank you for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you, and we hope you and your family stay nice and safe during this time and wash your hands. And we'll hope to get you back out on the lane soon. Catch Stewie Williams on his show. Where can our guys find you, Stu?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 p.m. Central. Check out the Beef and Barnsley Facebook page.
We will leave a link in the description to his Facebook page as well.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, guys. Good luck with the rest of your shows.
Thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you soon, and stay safe, all right?
All right, take care.
All right, bye, Stewie.
Bye.
All right, and that's going to wrap it up for us. As for now, I'm Justin Bohn.
I'm Mike Val. Stewie hung up on us.
And this is the Bohn and Zano Zone. We are always on the lanes, off the charts, and on the mic.
Take care, everybody.
Destiny was on his side. Strike to claim it. A strike to claim it. And